Okay.
Hey guys, my name is Kendrick, and welcome to ENFP Male. Today I will be interviewing Andrea Kwan, who's also an auth member, just like myself. And so, Andrea, awesome to talk to you.
Yeah, hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah. So you live in California. We both live in the Pacific time zone. So because you live in California, is it more like surfer-like feel there? I don't know like what life is like living in California, but that's kind of like the assumption that I'll make. You know?
Well, I live in Northern California, which is like San Francisco,
Oh, okay.
Monterey.
I see.
The surfer bros, they're in Southern California. It's the LA, San
Oh, okay.
Diego. Yeah, actually, we're having kind of really bad weather these past couple of months. Let me see if I can show you. But do you see? You don't like there are a lot of clouds. You don't see any sun at all. No blue sky. Yeah, that's kind of how the weather's been the past couple of months. So yeah, it's definitely breaking the California stereotype. But I would say though, like I've lived in Hong Kong and London, and California is by far like the best weather I've ever seen. So
So
yeah,
no
most of the time
complaints.
we do have it pretty well. Yeah.
So did you grow up in the US then, or were you originally from Hong Kong?
I'm originally from Hong Kong, and then I went to boarding school in England, and then I came over to California for college. And that was 6 years ago, and I just kind of stayed for work.
Okay, so are you like gonna move to the US permanently, or are you gonna move back to Hong Kong after?
I mean, kind of depends. I'm here on a visa right now, so it kind of depends on how the process looks like. So if I get married, if I somehow find an employer to sponsor me to get a green card, then maybe I'll stay. I do want to stay though, but family's in Hong Kong, so I think longer term I'd have to go back. But we'll see.
So eventually you'll go back. Okay,
Yeah.
so let me ask you, so what kind of Myers Briggs personality type are you?
Like non-OP?
Yeah, just like the standard one. And then we'll go deep into the OP
Yeah.
as we go along. So let's start with the basics first.
Yeah. So before OP, I've always identified as an ENFP. And when I first took the Myers-Briggs test, the test that I took, they gave you percentages on like the different letters. And I
Yeah.
remember I was like over 80% on each of the different letters. So I always thought I was like the standard typical ENFP.
Yeah.
But when I got typed by Dave and Shannon, I realized that I was an ESFP. And Dave did say that if I want to kind of if I want to tell other people about my Myers-Briggs type, he would encourage me to tell them that I am both an ENFP and an ENFP and an ESFP. So yeah.
Oh, why is that? That's interesting. Why did he say that you should tell people
Yeah.
you're both?
Because what so you know how like in OP, your saviors are the ones that you do unconsciously, that you kind of like can't stop yourself from doing it.
Yeah.
So for me, that's my S. But he did tell me that he noticed that I had a fascination with my demon, which is my N.
Okay.
So I do, yeah. So like with Myers-Briggs, like, well, they tell people that it's like the function that you prefer to use, right? So like for N and S, like, do I prefer N or do I prefer S? Yeah. I would prefer N, but S is the one that I do unconsciously.
Yes.
So yeah, I think that's why Dave suggested, like giving people like two profiles and say that they're both me.
Yeah. What was that like for you to talk to Dave? Because he's your opposite, right? Like if you're an ESFP, he's an INTJ. You guys are like the complete opposite function. So what did it feel like to talk to someone that was your opposite?
So we never really kind of talked face to face. It was just like we did, like I sent him my typing video and he sent it back to me. So I don't really know like if I had any particular feelings. I've always related to him in terms of like, observer issues and like double deciding.
Yeah.
And that's like very me as well.
Yeah.
And I would also say just like in life, I feel like I tend to be like attracted to people who are very different from me in terms of like the function stack, the animal stack. So yeah, and like I can see like Dave has like the type of kind of like sleep qualities that tend to really draw me in terms of like getting to know people. So yeah, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on interacting with Dave or interacting.
Interact.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
to expand on this, can you tell us what your animals are, like in order? And then
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a consume, play, blast, and I'm missing sleep.
So what's that like for you missing sleep?
Missing sleep. I feel like, well, I feel like when we talk about tidal waves, a lot of times it's relating to our functions. But for me, like the tidal waves I observe most often is from missing sleep. Like when I don't stop and process my emotions, and then all of a sudden it just kind of like overwhelms me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have a lot of those type of like tidal waves.
Yeah.
It's kind of annoying.
You know what's funny is that we have the exact same animals.
Oh, really? Nice.
Like everything's identical. Like I'm consume first, play
Uh-huh.
second, blast third, and I do have sleep last. But
Uh-huh.
I'm a little bit different in like the way my sleep works from yours.
Mm.
Yours is, processing your emotions. It's like you don't take the time to
Yeah.
process your emotions, right? I do process
Mm-hmm.
my emotions, but my problem is I don't get enough like sleep, like the literal term.
Like actual sleep? Yeah, me too.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I always get sick because like my immune system goes down from like
Mm-hmm.
lack of rest, and then
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like because we're always go 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 go, right? And then
Yeah, 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 yeah,
we
yeah.
don't take a break, and then we get really sick, and then or just exhausted, and I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
you have to like I don't know if you crash like once a week or you just like
Mm.
stay in your room and you don't do anything because you're so exhausted. I don't know. Does that happen to you or not
Yeah.
really?
Um, that kind of happens to me, but I also feel really guilty because like I do want to like go out and like hang out with my friends and stuff. And like
Yeah.
when it's a weekend and I feel like I've already been in the office like 5 days a week and I want to like be able to go out and enjoy life, but I
Yeah.
have to like I've learned that I have to schedule some like me time in just like completely alone, even though I feel like I would hate it. I feel like longer term is just kind of more sustainable.
Yeah. So you're very self-above tribe. Well, not very, but like you're a double decider, but you're slightly more
Mm-hmm.
self-above tribe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, when you do stuff for yourself, is it like to spend time with people? Is that what you like to do with yourself, kind of?
I don't know. Well, if your animal stack is the same as mine, then you're also double activated on your TE, right?
Uh, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. So like, I don't know. I feel like I use my like, although I am technically self-above tribe, I do use my TE very often in
Yeah.
terms of just like wanting to like interact with the tribe, wanting to get to know what the tribe thinks and things like that. So so I do enjoy like when you ask me right now, like, do I enjoy hanging out with people or do I enjoy spending time alone? I would definitely say I enjoy spending time with other people.
Okay.
It's just that I've learned that if I don't schedule me time in, then I'll just crash.
And
Physically, mentally, emotionally, and stuff.
are you doing that right now? Are you scheduling me time on a regular basis, or is it like hit or miss kind of deal?
Um, right now it's just kind of, I try to schedule me time in every once in a while. But I did go through a phase where like every day I scheduled like 15-minute breaks for myself, like just like throughout the day, just to kind of completely shut the world out and be in a room by myself.
Yeah.
That didn't last for long though. Maybe I should start doing it again. I don't know.
That's like doing meditation, like people get into it and then they just kind of stop
Yeah.
as time goes by because it's just kind of you just forget about it. So let's talk about so we talked about tidal waves and you said that you don't really get tidal waves from the actual functions. You get it more from your animals, you said. So you never get
like
waves from your NI then, like your intuition. You don't get tidal waves from, I guess, NI's control or organizing ideas. Do you get tidal waves for organizing your ideas or control with people controlling you or trying to tell you what to do or?
Yeah, I do have some. Well, I say I notice my sleep tidal waves more. And I think my sleep tidal waves kind of tie in with my NI tidal waves because NI is part of sleep, right? So I think like that maybe covers it a little bit. With my function tidal waves, I'd say that I notice a lot of my decider tidal waves too, because Yeah, the way that I think about it is that like if what like because I'm double activated on my TE, so like I do a lot of like TE activities and TE stuff. But then what I really care about is my FI, but it doesn't get activated. So like I always crave kind of like more of the FI time, but I do a lot of the TE stuff and I can't really control it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where like it's kind of it's not so much a tidal wave as an ongoing struggle.
Yeah.
For my NI tidal waves though, I feel like I struggle a lot with like not knowing what the future is going to be like.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so that's
does that
kind of a
freak you
huge.
out then? Like not knowing what the future looks like, kind of, or like kind of
Oh
like.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I feel like different phases in my life, I go through different like types of fearing what the future is going to look like. But it has always been like a persistent fear. And when it comes time for me to like have to actually decide, okay, like choose a major or like choose a job or like decide the path that your future is going to take in, like it's really scary every single time.
So if I ask you, okay, like if someone asks you to think about your future, what do you see? Like, do you see anything? Let's say I ask you a question, right? So I'm gonna go activate your demon right now. Where do you see yourself 10 years from now? What are you doing, and what what does your life look like? And you can go into specifics. So let's see if let's go activate that end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So 10 years from now, well, I'm 25 currently. 10 years from now, I will be 35.
Yeah. So what does that look like?
Yeah.
Where do you work? Are you married?
Mm-hmm.
Like let's go to the specifics. Let's go practice this NI.
Okay. So I would like to think that maybe I would be married. Maybe I would even have already started having kids. I mean, like, those are things that I do want for my life, like to get married and to have kids. So
yeah.
I would hope that by 35, I'd have at least started on that.
Yeah.
In terms of career, so I'm still in my first job out of college. I've been in the same job for 3 years now.
What is your job?
I'm pretty sure. Oh, I do. I'm a research analyst at an economic consulting firm.
Oh, nice. Do you like it?
I do like it a lot. But it's very stressful at times, and the hours are kind of like uncontrolled. Like the hours are kind of like fluctuating. But I do like that you get exposed to like different types of projects, and you get to like utilize different skill sets and stuff like that. It's just that in this industry, if I don't get a graduate degree, then I can't really move up. So like there's kind of a ceiling that we naturally hit. So I'm pretty sure that in 10 years, I wouldn't be in the same job. Now then the question is whether I would have gone to grad school, and I still don't know yet. But yeah, I could see myself having gone to grad school and like gotten another job, or I can see myself just jumping around from job to job to job without having going to grad school. So I don't know. The immediate next step, though, I feel like I'll get a second job sometime in the next couple of years. So, yeah, I feel like that's kind of how I think about my future. Like, I start with like, okay, like 10 years from now, what do I want? I have no idea. But what I can see and what I can control is the immediate next step. So, okay, let's not talk about 10 years. Let's talk about the next 1 to 2 years. What do I think is going to happen? Then I'll start having more ideas.
So just because I'm watching you like talk about this, I actually saw you freak out. Like I saw you. Like
my freakouts.
Like you physically like started like pulling your hair. Like
oh yeah, I do tend to do that.
Like when you start talking about your NI, you started freaking out. So no, that was just so interesting for me. I was like, oh my god, like it's real. This tidal wave stuff is real. But like
it sure is.
So it's like just from watching you, what I can tell is that like you tried going to your FI, like what I want to do, but then you had like a disconnect with like guessing. Like you did not want to guess. Like you almost went back to your savior and you started saying about the facts, right? You're like, oh, if I want to be in this career, then I have to get a master's degree, in this. Yeah. Do you want to try one more time? No, okay. So
I get what you're saying now.
remember what Dave said about like using NI? You have to guess, right? Like it's okay to guess, right? So you have to go guess right now. Make a guess and like make it up. Make it up. There's no facts here. There's no reason.
Okay.
It's all like
Okay.
it's woo. You said you're fascinated with NF, right? So this is gonna be 100% woo stuff. So like, I want you to make up like almost like a fairy tale world 10 years
Okay.
ago.
Okay.
Like what you want it to look like. Not like what is like realistic, but like what you want it to look like.
Okay.
All right, let's go. Round 2.
Round 2. Okay. So in 10 years, oh my gosh. See, I feel it in me. Like there's that, like, there's always this like voice that keeps saying like, oh, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm wrong? But I'm definitely going to be wrong. Cause like, how can I get everything right?
It's okay to be wrong.
Yeah. Okay. It's okay to be wrong. Okay. So
making bullshit.
35 for sure. Okay. I definitely think I want to be married and I want to have a kid. If I'm 35, they'll probably be like 4 or 5. I want a little boy. I want my firstborn to be a little boy. And I think I still want to live in the SF Bay area, but probably not in the city. The city is just too much. Just like too noisy, too dirty, too many people. So I'll probably live somewhere like San Jose or like Palo Alto if I have enough money for that. So if I need to have enough money for that, then I'll need to get a good job, like a well-paying job. So I'll probably move on to some other career that's better paying. And what would that be? A lot of people here work in tech firms, so I don't think I want to work in tech firms. Oh, I want to be on the board of a nonprofit, of a really cool nonprofit. And I could just...
what kind of nonprofit would that be? Like any specifics?
I've always...
Yeah, sorry, keep going.
No, I've always imagined working in the human trafficking field.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, some like nonprofit that fights against human trafficking. One that I really like is in Texas. It's called Exodus Cry. So maybe maybe I'll help them open an SF branch. That would be cool. And I can just like host fundraisers. Hopefully have enough money for my Palo Alto house. For my 4-year-old kid. I want to have a dog. I want my dog and my kid to be best friends. Yeah, that's the pipe dream.
So what did you feel when you went through that process? Because like you started talking about possibilities. So you actually use your
yes.
Because you went to possibilities, right? Like, when you said, that would be so cool if I can start like a nonprofit branch of the one in Texas in San Francisco. You started, like, really, I saw you going to NF land at that point. You said you're really fascinated about, right? So how did that feel, like, just going to that world? Like, sorry.
I feel like it's almost like I can do that only if I kind of like distance myself from it and like not commit to it. Because I feel like whenever I start like describing like one path in the future, then then I'm responsible for it. Then I'll have to commit to it, and then I'll have to like work out the specifics, the steps that I'll need to take in order to get there. And that's just that's just really scary. But if I kind of like completely divorce myself and be like, okay, let's just imagine for a little bit. It's just a fairy tale. I can change this at any time. I don't have to commit. I don't have to do anything right now. What would I want? Then that's kind of a little easier to do. So yeah, you've been helpful with the whole fairy tale storyline thing.
So like, you're definitely an EP because you're scared to commit to like, like one path, like almost,
Yeah.
So almost scared to have like, like be responsible for yourself. Like, okay, like, oh my God, if I have to be there at 10 years from now, I have to start doing all the steps. But maybe I don't want to like, narrow down my options. Maybe I want to do something else, I don't know if you felt that way.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's an accurate representation, and that's almost why I tend to only think like one step ahead, like not even 2 steps ahead. Like who knows where I'm going to be 2 steps ahead, but I do know that like right now, maybe I would want my next step to be this. And like when I'm there, then I can decide what the next step from there is going to be. So that's kind of like my typical like MO,
Gotcha. So we're talking about, so because you're an EP, you
Mm-hmm.
really like freedom, and
Mm-hmm.
the opposite side of that is control and self-responsibility. Have you ever had issues with self-responsibility?
Self-responsibility. Like, do you have some examples?
Discipline and self-responsibility. So I'll
Oh,
give you a concrete example.
oh,
Like, do you go to the gym to work out, for example?
no.
No. Okay. Like, okay. Let's, like, I'm trying to think of something that like you've like got into and then you like committed yourself to like sticking it out. So like I use the gym
Uh-huh.
example because everyone, like right now
Uh-huh.
it's February right now, right?
Oh, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Usually at this time everyone's working out, like everyone's getting a gym membership and everyone's like working out,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, you know what, this is the year
Mm-hmm.
that I'm gonna commit to this and I'm gonna go, stick with a fitness plan and I'm not gonna deviate and I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
stop. But then everyone does, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
like, that's why I was wondering, like, is there any part of your life where you've like committed to it and you have like a super discipline and you don't deviate from like, the plan?
Mm. Oh, yeah. I would say I pray every day. Like
Okay.
I said, I'm Christian. I go to church. I believe in God, like the Christian God. And yeah, every night before I go to sleep, I pray. And that's kind of like been, yeah, I guess like a routine that I haven't broken yet. And also starting last year, I started doing resolutions. So yeah, New Year's resolutions, but I realized that like I can't really do year-long resolutions. So my 2018 resolution was actually to have monthly resolutions. So
Okay.
every month I commit to it, like a different thing.
Yeah.
So I've been doing so I did that for like all 12 months. And then this year I started it again. So I guess I'm on my 14th month of like doing monthly resolutions. So that's been pretty cool. It's
Wow.
like kind of a meta resolution.
Do you have an example of like the monthly resolution that you've been doing and kind of like, have you hit the goals for those monthly resolutions?
Yeah. So last year, one of my resolutions was to sleep at midnight every weeknight. So Sunday to Thursday, I have to be in bed by midnight.
Yes.
And I think like I was pretty good with it. Hit it probably like 95% of the time. So that was pretty good. Last January, my resolution was to do at least one workout video every day or walk 45 minutes continuously. So yeah, I did pretty good on that too. Yeah, this month was to read the Bible every morning, and that didn't really work out that well because I traveled a bunch in February, and then yeah, I slept really poorly, so like I couldn't really wake up in the mornings and stuff like that. So March I would probably recycle that resolution and try to get that down. But yeah, I find monthly resolutions are like kind of a good compromise for me. Like they're not so long that I feel like it's like unachievable, but they're also not so short that it's not challenging.
So like when you approach this resolutions, like what do you do usually?
Uh-huh.
Like let's say you're about to do your workout video, or you have to, what's the other thing that you said?
Mm-hmm.
You have to walk outside, or is that
Yeah,
what?
yeah, I have to walk for 45 minutes.
Yeah. So what are you doing like when you approach it? Like, do you ever have like this internal battle with yourselves? Like, oh, should I do it? Should I not do it? Or do you just do it?
Um, I just, yeah, I just kind of like, it's like kind of like sheer willpower type of thing. I got to do it because I have committed. But
Yeah.
sometimes I try to like negotiate with myself in my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh, maybe I could just find a 3-minute workout video and like have that be it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe like, do I really have to walk for 45 minutes continuously? Maybe I can just like walk a total of 45 minutes. And I walked 10 minutes to the bus stop today. I walked 10 minutes from the bus stop today. So that's 20 minutes. And maybe I can just like walk around while I clean up the house. And that's probably like 10 minutes, right? I don't really have to do 45 minutes continuous,
Yeah.
that type of thing. So I do that.
Self-negotiations and like
Yeah.
backward rationalization.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm an ENFP. So
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and because I'm an ENFP, most of my friends tend to be like other NFs or NTs. And every time I've
Oh.
friends who were like kind of like, you know, more SPs, they're always been ISTP. All my friends that has been ESFP, I've never had them for long. Like maybe I would hang out with them for 4 months and I never see them again. And usually we don't like each other later on. So I don't know why. I just like, it's just something I've noticed, you know, because like I use NE a lot, right? So I see the patterns kind of like in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
like talking to you is very fascinating because like I'm seeing it from your point of view, like seeing like what it's like to like not think so far ahead in the future, but kind of like just think, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do today? Because like, you're very good at living in the moment, right? So I don't even know if you can describe this, but like, what's that like? Because I don't know what it's like to live in the moment, or just even like 1 month from now. I live, you know, like, you know, we had this exercise about like what it's like for you to be 10 years from now, and you kind of had like I wouldn't say you had a panic attack, but like it was challenging for you to do it, right? But
Yeah.
like, if you were to flip that around and you just force me into the present, you know, that's when I would kind of like, oh my God, I don't know, like it's really challenging, you know. So for you, what's that like, just to live in the moment? Is it like, do you never think about the future? Is it always like what you see in front of you is just what you see, or is it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like for me, day to day, it's like a very like play mentality. Like, what do I need to do today? What do I need to do right now? Like, how do I fill out my to-do list so my day is productive? So yeah, that's like fun for me. Just like thinking about like what I can do and what I can achieve today. Just like who am I gonna see, and what's the next trip that I have planned ahead? Like, what are the times that I get to like interact with the tribe, and the kind of thing. And my email inbox always has like I have an inbox specifically for like shopping promotions, and another inbox specifically for newsletters. So like whenever I'm bored, or I feel like, you know, like I don't like what I'm doing right now, then I just go to my email and I start like either like online shopping or reading like all the newsletters that I have saved up for myself. And then yeah, when I go home too, I have like a backlog of videos that I need to consume.
Yeah.
So like when I go home and I eat dinner, I'll like open up one of the videos and I ask myself, what do I feel like watching right now? Like, do I want to watch anime? Do I want to watch superhero TV shows? Do I want to watch OP videos? Do I want to watch YouTube? And within YouTube, do I want to watch like mental health stuff? Do I want to watch news, or do I want to watch makeup? Yeah, so it's like seeing all of the different options available to me. It's like very invigorating to me.
Okay,
does that kind of give you an idea?
Yeah, it does. So like just the stuff that you were talking about right now, like I really relate to your FI and TE, because I do exactly that. Like, you know, let's say I just got home and I started kind of like myself, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to watch this video? What do I feel like doing? You know? And then I have like priorities too. I think your camera's cutting out actually.
Oh.
Your camera has frozen. But there we go. It's fixed.
No. Nice. Okay.
Yeah, but then the one thing that we're very different about, and like I'm quite like fascinated to hear, is that when you said, I'm really excited to see what I'm gonna do today, like who I'm gonna hang out with, like what am I gonna do, what my checklist am I gonna tick off, like you said that you were excited to do that for like today. I don't get excited when I see that. I see that I get anxiety, you know.
Oh, really?
When I see
like
that,
you feel like your day to day is just kind of like a drag that you have to go through in order to get to the future.
Yeah, it's like something I just have to go through to hit that like 10-year plan, you know. Because like I'm looking at that 10-year plan with such like intensity, you know, like I'm living in that 10-year or 5 years from now. Like that's where I am. Like I'm not here in the present. Like I'm there in like the future. So everything that I'm doing today, like all the tiny little steps just to get me there. But the bad thing is I don't appreciate the moment, right? Like the small things, like not obviously, but like there's obviously times in my life where I do, especially when I'm traveling. Cause I like traveling. That's my thing. But like just to see you getting like really excited about like the present, like I'm like, oh my God, like how can I copy you? Like how can I be like excited about like what's happening today? You know, like what makes you feel excited about like today? You know, what is it about today that like makes you feel excited?
Like there are just like so many different things that can happen. Like I'm pretty close friends with like people at work. So like I'm excited to get out of bed and see them, and to talk to them, to get to know what their weekends are like, and thinking about lunch and dinner, and like what am I going to eat? Like I have a couple like favorite like places around the city that I like to go to. So I was like, okay, like if I can I pitch it to my friends so that they go there with me for lunch today and for dinner. Like, do I want to cook something? Do I have any recipes saved up that I wanted to try? So I don't know. I don't know how to, communicate to you how to get excited about the present. But for me, it's like a lot of just like imagining what can happen in the next 30 minutes and all of the different options, and how can I like coerce / manipulate people to do what I want, but I do it with them, So yeah. Yeah.
I think that's something I have to like process, I do have sleep last night too, so it's gonna be a challenge, but I'll figure it out.
I feel like on the flip side for me, like what tends to be the issue with regards to SCNI is that like I'll be so excited and so caught up in the moment that like I don't think about like where I want to be like 10 years in the future and what steps I do need to go through in order to get there. Like it's kind of theoretically, I know that that's probably what I should do in order to maximize my potential or whatever. But like, really, I just want to maximize my enjoyment for today,
Yes. No, I completely get you. Like, I mean, I can see where you're coming from. I mean, I don't do it that way, but I see it. I just had a thought in my head about what you said. It kind of just flew out for a minute.
Oh, sorry, I cut you off.
No, it's not. No, it's not your fault. Okay, no, I remember. So
okay.
I can see like what I'm doing and what you're doing. I can see like the bad and the good. So what I can see like for what I'm doing, the good is that like whatever I'm doing in the moment will get me closer to that 10-year goal, like faster. But I don't appreciate the moment, and like like what's the point of living your life if you're not living to be happy, right? Like if I'm just so goal oriented and I'm trying to hit a target and I actually get to the target, so does that mean I can only be happy like once every 10 years? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't make sense, right? So in your case, it might take you longer to get to like that goal that you have, if you do take the time to set that goal to begin with. But let's say you do, it might take you longer because in the moment you might not take the action to get you there, but you're happy every day. And I think that's almost better than like what I'm doing. So I have to like really figure out how you can kind of borrow some of that like daily happiness that you're doing.
Yeah. I feel like we all just kind of need a balance of our functions and to kind of strengthen that inferior. But I think like it's like still really scary to like think about the future, and the fact that like whatever I do right now, like it affects like my future. Like if I just kind of like focus on maximizing my daily happiness, maybe in 10 years I'll still be at this like crappy first out of college job, like with no graduate degree, and like still earning like right out of college level money, and not bringing me any closer to my goals, like to my actual like FI goals. So food for thought.
I feel like the way like ESFPs, I guess, like you guys are doing, I feel like it's almost like a roll of a dice, like you could get lucky and you're just like on the right path and like everything goes well, and and then you're happy the rest of the way. But like if you roll the wrong dice, then you can fall off the cliff, right? Like so that's kind of like what I can see.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's why like the idea of having a god like really appeals to me, because like then it means that like I can continue living in my SC and someone's going to do the NI for me, and their NI is always going to be good. Like not to say that like like God is just something that we fabricate in our minds to satisfy our needs and our desires, and our needs and desires are to continue doing our saviors, right? But I do think that just kind of looking back in my life, the best decisions I have made are not decisions that I would have chosen in the moment. Like when I was in Hong Kong and I didn't want to go to boarding school, but my parents kind of forced me to, and like we kind of made a bet that like, oh, if I get like a certain amount of points in my public exams, then I would need to go to boarding school. But in the end, I was like 1 point off that like mark that we had set. So my parents are like, okay, you lost, you got to go to boarding school. I was like really sad in the moment, but like now looking back, it's probably like one of the best decisions that have been made for me. So yeah, just like looking back, like I don't even like I couldn't even be trusted to like plan this life that I'm living right now that I'm actually pretty happy with. So looking forward, how can I be trusted to continue planning my life? Why not just kind of like, you know, surrender to God and like let whatever happens happen.
You know, I find something really
Yeah.
interesting about like what you said about like not so much about the planning for the future stuff, but like more like your personal life with like your parents sending you to boarding school. So one of my friends is, well, I live in Vancouver, so we have tons of Cantonese people here. Like, yeah, like even my girlfriend's Cantonese. Like she's also from Hong Kong, but like, so one of my friends married a girl who her parents also sent her to London to a boarding school. And now that they're married, she wants their daughter to also go to boarding school. But even like, and she already told the daughter that like when she hits a certain age, she's going to go to boarding school, right? The daughter clearly does not want to go. And my friend does not want the daughter to go. But because the mom said, I went there, I turned out really well, then our daughter has to go to boarding school. But you said for you, it was a good experience, right? So, so no regrets then being sent to boarding school from you? Or do you think it's wrong that your parents are like forcing you? I guess your parents didn't really force you. Like you had a choice. Like you had to get a certain score and you failed to get that score. That's why you got sent there, right? But like,
yeah, that was
do you know any other like people who were forced to be sent to boarding school and they didn't even have that option to, you know, like, oh, if I hit a certain score, I can yeah.
Yeah, I definitely know people with which that has happened. Like some of my friends in like boarding school, like that happened to them. Like they were kind of like purely forced to go there without the choice. And I think, well, the EP inside of me has the like instinctual knee-jerk reaction being like, that is bad. Why are you controlling them?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like kind of like a tricky situation because like when I was sent to boarding school, I was 15. So like I was still a child and I didn't have the right to make decisions for myself. And you know, like that's what we should do, like listen to our parents and things like that. But yeah, so I don't know whether like if I became a mom, I don't know whether I would be comfortable with the idea of saying to my child, I don't care what you think, you have to go to boarding school because that's what I think is best. Like, I don't know whether I can do that. The best that, like, right now where I'm at, I think I would be comfortable saying like, hey, like, I really didn't want to go to boarding school too, but all these things happened to me and I didn't know that I was going to experience them. Had I known, I would have chosen it for myself. So it's a very observer pitch. This is the missing information that I received. And if I had that missing information when I had to make the choice, I would have chosen that for myself.
Like you would have went to the UK voluntarily, you mean?
Yeah. If I had known what I would gain and like the friends I would make and the kind of experiences I would have, like I would have freely chosen to go to the UK.
You know, like I don't want to be biased here, but it sounds like to me like the best parents are probably double deciders. You know, just cause like, you know, like you're gonna give your kids that option, right? It's like, you know, like I don't want to control you. I want you to have the freedom to like make your own life decision. You know, I'll give you all the information that you need to make that decision. So, you know, kind of like you said, you felt like you didn't get enough information. But like maybe if they give you the whole spectrum of information, maybe you're like, oh, you know what? I don't want to go, but maybe it is a good idea to go, you know? But like my friend, both my friend and his wife are both single decider, you know? They're both, right? And it for them, it's like, nope, this is how my family did it. This is how you're gonna do it. You know, like, and like when I hear that, I feel so bad for the daughter, and like I'm kind of cringing inside. I feel bad for my friend too, right? Because like my friend's like, oh my god, because I feel like he's like, for him, he's getting separated from his daughter too, right? Which he cares about.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
kind of makes the moms look really mean, right? You know, so that's just kind of like,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyways,
I'm almost wondering whether we think the best parents are double deciders because we are double deciders ourselves.
yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. My boyfriend, he's he's an EJ.
Mhm.
So like tribe above self and single decider.
Yeah.
And he's like, one of the most important things like to him in his life is to honor his parents and to, you know, like, so like every paycheck he cuts like 25% to them immediately, and he's still living with them even after college, and he's like, he never has plans to leave the Bay. So it's always been like really important for him to, you know, like honor his parents, and he doesn't crave freedom, I guess, the same way that like me and you do, when he doesn't, you know, crave like having his own right to make his own decisions the same way that me and you do. So I don't know. I wonder whether like EJ kids, like what kind of parents EJ kids would want to have.
So you said your boyfriend is an EJ, right? Is he like is he the gathering EJ, or is he the EJ that likes known information? Like
known information. Well, I think he's an EJ that likes known information. He's never been officially typed, and he doesn't even know the system. But I think he's a TENI.
TENI.
So my two inferior functions.
TENI. What is that one? Which personality type is that?
TENI. That would be ENTJ, right? Yeah, ENTJ.
ENTJ boyfriend. Oh, weird. Okay. I don't think.
Yeah.
So you both kind of get a like. That's strange because like, so he has a strong SE technically. You know, he has like that relative balance between NI
SE and NI.
Yeah. So like, I guess that's where you two can kind of relate, right? And you have a pretty good TE, like even though it's your, you know, third function. I think like everyone can probably use the first three function, no problem. Like it just from like what I can tell. Maybe that's where you guys relate at. So does he do all like the planning for you guys then? Because he has that like strong NI.
Yeah, for sure. And he loves doing that. He loves planning the future. Like I think he's like you in the sense that he lives in the future. Except I don't think he sees possibilities as much as strategy, you know? Like like one of his favorite activities is managing his own finances, like thinking about all the different credit cards that he has, what kind of credit cards he's still missing, and like with every single purchase, like what card should he charge on so it maximizes the financial gain that he can get from it. So he has like multiple different spreadsheets on like credit cards and like how it relates to different kinds of purchases, and it's a lot. And he like tries to show me and just brag about all those things, but then like I don't really care. So it just kind of like flies by. I was like, yeah, that's great, babe. That's great. Yeah.
You know, I do that. Is he like a travel hacker? Like he collects points for traveling or something? Or
Yeah. He doesn't travel as much. So like, but he spends a lot of money. So like he thinks a lot about like, you know, online shopping and what cards are good for that. And then just like food and coffee and, you know, that type of thing. But yeah, airline points is something that he tracks as well, but like he kind of converts it to like its cash value, so he can compare that with like other cash benefits he gets from other cards. But yeah, I think it's like along the same lines. Like he thinks about travel benefits as well.
You know, like I think what I find with people with low FI or TI is that like they often like, you know, in life you're kind of climbing a building, and then like you're trying to get to the top of that building, right? That's kind of like, you know, like top, that's kind of like success, right? Like, you know,
Okay.
In like literal terms, that's like you trying to, like, let's say you start off as an entry level banker, and later on the top would be like the CEO of the bank, right? So I think what I find like so with people with low FI, they tend to climb the wrong building. Is what I'm trying to say. Because like like you have to use you have to use your FI, right, to like pick what works for you, like what you like, what you enjoy, what makes you happy, what you're really passionate about, right? And then after you figure out what you like, what you're passionate about, then you start climbing that building, right? So it almost starts with FI first. Like everything starts with FI. Like what do I love? What am I passionate about? But obviously you have to be logical about it too, right? So it's like, okay, does this like, am I gonna make money from this, right? Because like you can't just be like a woo-woo person, because then otherwise you're gonna be broke and homeless, right? So in like, what I'm trying to ask you is like, have you noticed this in your boyfriend? Like, do you think he's climbing the wrong building? Like is the field that he's in actually what he's passionate about, or is it like you think he's just doing it because it's like the logical choice for like to maximize profit or whatever?
Yeah. So he works in finance, and would I say he has a passion for finance? Probably not. But I would also say that it doesn't matter to him whether finance is his passion. Like he's just doing it because like it is a good fit with his skill set.
Yeah.
And it is kind of like a socially respectable industry and occupation. And there's like a clear path laid out for him in terms of like, where he goes from here and stuff like that. Because for finance, it's very hierarchical and it's very it's very linear, like step by step.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he likes that about finance. And yeah, I don't think finance is his life passion, but I don't think he cares that his occupation isn't his life passion.
Well, what about for you? Is that important? Like, is your occupation something that should be your life passion? Like, do you feel like it should be for you?
Yeah, of course. I feel like for me, like, am I like right now where I'm at? I wouldn't say I'm exactly passionate about my occupation, but I am passionate about the people that I know here. I'm passionate about spending my time with them and doing work for them.
They're listening to
so
you.
So that's
right
kind
now.
of what motivates me day to day. Well,
I'm joking. I'm joking.
Yeah. Well, it's like, no, it's okay. It's a good thing. I'm saying that I love them. And I do. So I think that like that part really gets me going like day to day. But if I'm going on to my next job, I think I will be looking for something more just obviously purpose driven, which is why like I mentioned like a nonprofit board earlier, like when we talked about thinking about the future. Like I think for my next job, I do want something that's a little more obviously purposeful, built into the mission.
You're cool with it, even though it doesn't make as much money as like, let's say your boyfriend who's in the finance realm?
I mean, I think I'll be cool with it, but we'll see how it actually affects my life when we get there. Like I've never been someone who's like very kind of like driven by money, and I've never been someone who like been like found it really easy to keep track of how much I'm spending week to week, month to month, which is probably bad. But I do genuinely think that money isn't a huge motivator. But that's also because like I'm single, I don't have any dependents, so maybe like down the road it will change, and maybe I should start saving up for that. But yeah, we'll see.
You're thinking about it now.
Yeah, the NI, I can't.
Yeah. So do you and your boyfriend ever butt heads over this FI thing? Like maybe he'll say to you, like, like, why don't you do the stuff that like makes other people happy? Like you're like, why aren't you trying to get your parents' approval of you? Why aren't you trying to do the things that makes more logical sense? Like it doesn't matter if you like it or not, as long as it makes you the most money, And then you kind of like counter argue with him, like, no, like I don't want to do that. Why should I do that? Like, do you ever butt head over that kind of stuff, or not really?
I think we have a lot of like it is a kind of ongoing joke like between us and our friends that like Andrea's the F person. She only goes for what she likes, even though it's not like necessarily logical. And she's the one who like spends a lot of money, just like buying a lot of extra stuff. And Ray is kind of like the logical one that kind of like keeps her reined in. But I would say like the kind of like serious arguments we have, like from my perspective, relates to kind of like his missing FI. He's also like I think he's also missing his feminine FI. Like his fourth country is a feminine FI.
Oh.
So he's very like ultra closed off about like his own like personal emotional world. And I find that very frustrating because like we've been seeing each other for like 6 years. So it's like,
oh my God.
And like, yeah. And so for 6 years, I feel like I'm just kind of like mentally like trying to shake his emotions out of it.
From Hong Kong or London or?
Oh, no. From college. So I met him freshman year and we've been dating all throughout college and like throughout working life as well. Yeah. So yeah. And like for 6 years, I've been like so trying to shake out his emotions out of him. Be like, oh, what do you actually value? What do you think about this? What do you want, Ray? Like, just tell me what you want. Yeah. So
and he can't tell you what he wants or like what he wants to.
He keeps it very private, and he's told me before too. Like if I'm in an environment where like I feel very emotionally moved, I feel like it's unsafe, and I feel manipulated, and I feel like it's bad, and I want to shut it off. So I think to me that statement is pretty clear demon feminine FI statement. But yeah, I think like learning OP has like helped me understand like why he is how he is and how to kind of work around that, you know?
Yeah. So he's afraid of I guess vulnerability is I guess the word to describe.
For sure.
Describe him.
Yeah.
I think I guess I don't know if you do this, but like as an FI user, I tend to kind of wear my heart on my sleeve. Like I rather someone. Like I rather take something head first. Like if someone's gonna hurt me emotionally, I want to I don't want to like create a persona that like it's not really me just so I can be accepted by the group. Like I want to be me, right? If someone like rejects me for being me, then I rather have that and feel really bad than like than be inauthentic. So I don't know if you resonate with that like thought process. Oh, looks like you got cut off.
Hi, sorry, you froze.
Oh, yeah.
But wearing your heart on your sleeve and you want to be yourself, authentic in the group.
Yeah, like you'd rather get rejected for you than like be accepted for someone you're not. Like basically being authentic. So do you live your life in that sense where like as an FI user, like like, I'd rather put myself out there, and if people think I'm stupid, then so be it, because that's just me,
Yeah. I think for me, that's the ideal. And if it comes down to it and I have to choose between one or the other, then I would very grudgingly choose my masculine FI. But it is a struggle for me because I'm also a very feminine TE. So like I'm really scared of conflict. I'm really scared of offending people. I think ironically, the closer you are to me, the more scared I am that you're going to leave or that like you're going to reject me and reject my identity. So a lot of times I keep my FI principles like pretty hidden until I'm like pretty certain that like even if they see my masculine FI, I wouldn't be rejected for having those masculine FI principles. So yeah, I would say like day to day, it's almost as if I act like a tribe above self, but I always crave that moment when I can be able to be self above tribe and not risk tribe hate. And like once those moments happen, like I just kind of like get addicted to them almost.
So you said you had masculine FI. Do you also have masculine NI?
No, I have a feminine NI.
So you have masculine FI and you have masculine SE then?
Yes.
What does
my two saviors?
Your two saviors, right?
They're both masculine.
What does masculine SE feels like, or what is that? Anyways, I don't even understand that.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
I mean, I don't think I do either. In some ways, I feel like it's easier to understand what a feminine NI is than what a masculine SE is. Because
what is a masculine SE? That's confusing to me. So.
Yeah, I mean, people like Dave say that like Dave always says that like anecdotally, like masculine sensories. They have a good memory, and they have like a good sense of time, and like how many years has passed between like events and things like that. And yeah, I can probably. Oh, and then he also talks about like what's movable and what's not, right? Like,
Yeah.
so theoretically, as a masculine SE and feminine NI, my plans of the future should be movable.
Yeah.
But the facts that I'm gathering are not movable.
Yes.
Do I see that in my life? I mean, I think I do. I like struggle a lot with like what, like whether my, like whether the way that I, like whether the way that my NI functions, like whether it's because it's a demon NI or specifically a feminine NI. Like when I find it difficult to commit to one path, for example, it could be that because my NI is demon, or it could be that because my NI is feminine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I think I do. Sorry. It's just like one last point with the masculinity. I think I do feel like the facts that I gather is immovable. Like when I have a lot of these like type conversations, like I always go back to like my typing video, and Dave said this, Shannon said this,
yes.
and like and like those are the facts that I have gathered, and I can only tell you about the facts that I've gathered. So I make very little conjecture about like, you know, am I this way because of my type, or am I that way because of that type, and like.
Oh, we both froze. Or you froze.
Hey, am I frozen?
It froze again, yeah. Let's just back to what you were saying about referring back to Dave about masculine,
yeah.
facts and whatnot.
Yeah, so like when I have a lot of these type of conversations, I'm always like, Dave said this, Shannon said this, and these are the exact words that they used. I'm more comfortable doing that than being like, oh, I definitely see sensory in my life because I do this, and because I did that yesterday, and because I ate that for lunch. You know, like I find that difficult to grasp. But like, you know, like it's like if there are facts that somebody else confirms that I've gathered, then then that's solid.
So it's kind of like earlier when we kind of did that like exercise about 10 years from now, and you started like, oh, if I want to move on this career, I need to get my master's degree. And you started kind of like telling me all the facts about your this industry. And I guess that's why you had that like masculine SE and that feminine NI, which I think makes it even harder for you to use NI as a result. Because I think if you had masculine NI, it might be a little bit easier to use. So because you're masculine feminine, you are very auditory then.
I don't know a lot about the learning styles.
I mean, like, so remember Dave?
I know what I consume from the classes, but I don't like it's like the one aspect of the class that I can't really say that I see play out in real life. I do think that I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and I love doing that. So that could point to audio, and I like very kinesthetic analogies, like I remember in my typing video, Dave and Shannon, they locked me down as like audio kinesthetic because of like this one analogy I made about people, which is that like, I was telling them like the kind of like N things that I like to consume. And I said like, like I really enjoy when I can try to like figure out how people work and like what makes them act and think that way that they do. It's almost like they're like clocks or watches. And I want to take off the back and see how the gears fit together and how the gears spin. And Shannon kind of like latched onto that and said like, like this is an anecdote, but I think that's pretty like kinesthetic that I would, like this is the type of thing that I would use to type you as a kinesthetic.
That's a really good example because that sounds like a lot of SE also, because I would never use that analogy, but like I'll give you an example. So because I'm an ENFP, right? So I'm the same as you actually. I have masculine. I'm also auditory. I'm also MF like you. Like we have the exact same animals. So my SI, which is my weakest function, is masculine, and my FI is also masculine, like you. So like, you know, I'm immovable in a sense of like how I feel and my values. But my SI is also masculine, so I can use my SI better. So even though it's my D, like, because my girlfriend is the same as me. We're both ENFP, right? But she has feminine SI, so our house looks, our apartment looks like it's like a huge mess, and I get so stressed out. Like, I push all her stuff to the side. And then my sister is also an ENFP, and she also has SI, and she makes up stuff all the time. Like all the facts are not even true. Like, I travel a lot. I have a travel blog, and I've been to a lot of countries. So I've been to 78 countries. But she tells everybody I'm been to 100 countries. You know? or like
and that bothers you.
Yeah, and I'm like that's not true. That's not the facts. And then so recently I've been telling my sisters like how to get the best sleep, right? And one of the best sleep, according from one of the books that I read, is to get linen sheets for your bed. So linen sheets is the most comfortable like sheets, and you know you get the best sleep according to a sleep coach by the name of Nick Little Hales, who's the sleep coach for Roger Federer, right? So I told my sister that. My sister bought a linen sheet, and then she told everybody, "Hey, you know, my brother read this book about this linen sheets, and they said it was the best one to get." And I was like, "I never read the book. I like I listened to an interview about it, but my sister always makes up like the facts, right? As a result of feminine sensory. So that's why I like when you were talking about like, you know, you're not immovable with the facts. Like I kind of related that to like, you know, myself, and also relating with my sisters who have feminine sensory, who makes up stuff all the time, you know, like. I want to move on to my last question to you, which is on. So a lot of double deciders, we have problem with fear, and but we're okay with pain, versus like people who are double observers. They don't have a problem with fear, but they have a problem with pain. The last what's the name of the guy that I interviewed last? The INTP guy. Shoot, I forgot his name. Anyways, I have such bad memory. So the point I'm trying to make is that like he kept telling me that he's scared of being hurt. He's scared of being hurt, right? By the tribe, you know, like the feeling of being hurt, like emotionally pain, right? And for me, I'm like, that doesn't really bother me that much. Like it does, but like not to the extent of you. But I'm scared of a lot do like I'm wondering, does that apply to you in your life? Like you told me you're scared of the future, right? But like, do you have a lot of fears that you deal with on a regular basis?
Yeah, I would say so. I think that like for me, like pain is an issue, but to a certain extent, it's inevitable. So like, why would I be scared of being hurt? Because I know I'm going to be hurt. Yeah. So like, but I think like what I struggle with a lot, even with like relational struggles, is that like, I struggle a lot with like not knowing where we are in terms of our relationship. Like, yeah, well, I've been with Ray for like 6 years, so like, we're pretty stable in that sense, and I have like, I have confidence to, I guess, to like how intimate we are and things like that, even though he keeps his FI hidden. What I don't know though is that like, are we gonna get married? Like, are we moving on to the next step? Do you have intention to move on to the next step? Are we ready to move on to the next step? Like where are things going to go from here with relation to us? And then with my friends and like with like some of my close friends, I'm like, oh, like I see you as like one of my closest friends, but do you see me as one of your closest friends? Like, what can I expect from you in terms of like, you know, communication, and whether I can depend on you, and whether like I can tell you my deepest, darkest secrets? Like, how would you react? I feel like that's like what I struggle with the most, like just not knowing in that sense, rather than being like, oh, I'm scared that like, if I trust you too much, I'll be hurt. Does that make sense?
Yeah. it does make sense. And it sounds like a lot of your fear is still coming from your NI. Like you can't see like the patterns, like within your relationship or your
Oh
friends.
yeah.
Make that like decision almost to say, okay, you know what, we're good. This is exactly where we're going based on, all these patterns that I'm seeing,
Yeah, and it's very SE too, because like I find myself comparing a lot. Like, oh, like I like within like the stack of like her like interactions with other people, like during lunch she did this to me, whereas like she did that to like her other friends. Does that make them above me? Or like, like doing a lot of like those kind of comparisons with the facts. Which is what happens a lot. And I gotta like tell sometimes like I gotta tell myself to like calm down, like okay, Andrea, like if you really like calm down and ask yourself, like, does she value you as a friend? Like, does she like, and the answer is always yes. So I'm like, okay, like probably no reason to freak out then. Yeah.
So where's the freak out happening then from the friend thing? Like, because you said there's a fear, then you'll use your savior to kind of like justify that that you're good, that your friendship is solid. But then there's still a fear though. So where does the fear come from? Like,
the fear comes from the fact that we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Like I think we're good now, but like, am I thinking right? Am I drawing the right conclusion? Because my end is not that like solid or like good. My end is not good. So like, am I drawing the right conclusion? Or like, if she like values me today, like tomorrow she could just decide that she doesn't value me. And if not tomorrow, then it could be a week or a month or a year. Like I can't rely on anything that relates to the future. And that's kind of like where that like anxiety comes from, because like we all crave close relationships, right? And like I have a solid romantic relationship, but that doesn't mean that I don't need anything from my friends. And if I don't feel like I can rely on my friends for like, in the future, then like it just causes me anxiety.
So when you said that you had a lot of fear with your relationships, with your boyfriend, do you want to get married eventually? Is that what you want? Do you want that to be soon?
Yeah.
Where is the fear coming from? Because you said you're not sure where you're at.
Yeah. I think the fear is coming from like, I don't know how long this is going to drag on, because like we've been dating for 6 years. Like I'm just imagining like if like 5 years in the future, we've been dating for 11 years, and then we decide that like we're not good for each other, and we decide to break up, then it's like 11 years of my life dedicated to someone who's not going to be my husband, So like I feel like that's scary in a sense. And like if we are good for each other, and if we are gonna get married, then like we should already have decided that within 6 years that we've been together. Like 6 years is such a long time to just collect information, so we should be able to decide now. So like, are we able to decide now? Like, are we ready? And then it's all like, oh, thinking about like what's going on in my head, but also thinking about what's going on in his head and how we interact with each other. And there's like a lot of factors to fit in. And like, I don't know whether it's like right for us to, be waiting this long, or whether like it's okay for us to be waiting this long and things like that. But then maybe it's okay because like we're still young and stuff like that. So it's just like, all these like different considerations.
Have you guys talked about this before? Like getting married?
Yeah, we've talked about this a couple of times. He's more like, he's less anxious than I am. And he needs like less kind of like external validation than I do. So yeah, I think, yeah.
We kind of like have parallel lives in the sense that I've also been with my girlfriend for 6 years. So it's...
Oh, wow! No way!
Yeah. It's like, for me, because I have, because I'm an EP like you, I have that fear of commitment almost, like fear of like, do I want to be locked in, forever? Because forever is a long time,
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, I've already made a decision though that we like down the road we plan on getting married. So we've talked it out. But getting to the point to talk it out, like making a concrete plan about it, it killed me. It seriously kills me. As an EP, like I guess as a male EP, like like the co-commitment thing is like so scary, like even committing to one job, committing to like one relationship, it's like it's a big fear, right?
Yeah, I feel like for me, like that type of commitment is almost comforting and like welcome in a sense, because like if he's clearly communicated the decision to be with me forever, then I don't need to worry about the future anymore. Like I don't know, I need to worry about like whether this relationship is going to end, whether he's going to leave me, like if he's like, well, of course, like divorce is still kind of like a possibility, but like it's like just less possible, you know? Like if
Yeah.
he's made a public commitment,
Yeah.
like if we both made a public commitment, then like I just don't need to worry about the future as much.
Wow,
So yeah.
that's so interesting coming from
Uh-huh.
like an
An EP.
well, like an EP, but that's like you're kind of like you live in a moment kind of EP, you know, with like feminine NI, and that's kind of like the stuff that goes in your mind, because
Yeah.
I never quite understood that, but now you made it very clear, so now I get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
So we're gonna wrap this up shortly. Do you have any final message that you want to talk about before we wrap this up? Anything that you wanna that we didn't cover today, but like you wanted to address or like even mention?
Um, yeah, I'd say, well, I
Or do
did
you have
like
a
one
question
other,
for me also? Yeah.
well, I did one other interview with Benjamin, and I think that like it's really interesting, you know, seeing how these different interviews played out, because like we're like me and him, oh shoot.
What happened?
Hey, it's me.
Hey, there's no video, but I can see your phone thing, I guess.
Yeah. So what happened is my phone ran out of battery, which is why I can't video dial in anymore. But
Okay.
I'll just like say any last thoughts here. But yeah,
Sure.
isn't it such a classic EP move? Like I thought I forgot to charge my phone, and so my video just randomly cut off, and now I have to make do with the chaos.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to say that like, yeah, I did another interview with someone very different, and it's just like really interesting to see how different these two interviews turn out to be. And yeah, I definitely think like I relate a lot to you with a lot of the things that we go through, and it's like it is interesting that like we're almost like living like parallel lives, and that our functions are so well, our OP type is so similar. Like really the only thing that differs is the NE and the SE.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found this really interesting and really informative for me as well. And yeah, I definitely hope to keep in touch and to continue, you know, discussing type and life and stuff.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for doing the interview today, Andrea. And you know what? You know that INTP that I forgot to mention? The reason why I didn't want to say his name was because his name is the same as yours. It's Andreas, with just an S at the end.
Oh.
That's why I got confused for a second. So I was like, wait a minute, that would make his name a girl's name, but he's not a girl, you know. But like, anyways, so I just remember that now. But yeah, hey, and you know, Andrea, that's awesome interview today. I was, you know, really happy to get a chance to get to know you, get to know about your functions, and kind of like sharing with me and everyone else like about your life and like your struggles with NI. I think a lot of people would probably relate to that. And yeah, we'll definitely keep in touch and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, talk to you soon.
All right, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.